Hey guys, what's up? It's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rides. We're back here at the Raiti's Rides home base. Boy, oh boy, 2022 was one heck of a year. Lots of amazing cars, lots of amazing on-throttle experiences, but also a lot of amazing journeys with these cars. Now, of course, I'm always asked, Joe, what's your favorite car for 2022 or whatever year that we're in? Well, think about it. We basically have one review per day. So at the least, there's going to be 365 car reviews, obviously different trims, different models, so on and so forth. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to take the top 10 cars that I felt really were the purest for that on-throttle driving enjoyment and bring them up in one video for you. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go on throttle through 2022 to find out which are the 10 best here on Raiti's Rides. And here we go. There it is. First off, I just want to state these are not in any particular order, but starting off the top 10 list is the 2023 model year Nissan Z. We drove that at Las Vegas Motor Speedway in about March of 2022. And right away, I knew it was gonna be one of those special kind of cars for the year because what you got is twin turbo V6 power. You got that 6-speed manual transmission still available. And I personally really dig many of the design elements of the new Z, especially at the back. And the way that they took that 3-liter twin turbo V6, pumped it up to 400 horsepower, and the interior touches. Yes, some touches go back to the 370Z, but I really feel like with the way they integrated the infotainment system, the classic triple gauge pod up top really allows you to have that connection to the original Zs, first starting all the way back in 1970. The 6-speed manual was very crisp on its engagement, nice short throws. You have that automatic rev match downshift feature. They did a great job with the pedal box, aluminum pedals, even an aluminum dead pedal, which a lot of expensive cars we get into, sometimes they don't even have that. And then the digital gauge cluster I thought was really, really smartly done. Nice large size, that tack in the center, making it happen. And then you got that sound. Here we go, on throttle, listen to that. See, that's what I'm talking about. And then we got to take it on track. And that's really where you see how the car dances with you. And being behind the wheel with you, having you in that passenger seat as we're going around the road course at Las Vegas Motor Speedway allowed me to really kind of share with you what I was sensing with the feel from the front end. And then of course the on-throttle excitement on the road. I mean, it's one of those versatile cars where it will do a little bit of everything. Better on the road than on track, but still a freaking fun car with great on throttle. Now the next one is gonna be a 2022 Acura NSX Type S. What can I say about this event? We were at Daytona for the Rolex 24-hour race, and then the night before the race, we got to drive the new NSX Type S on the track. Those carbon ceramic brake rotors, the new style blew me away, and it's a shame that it's only for 1 year, this being the final year of the NSX. In totality, this Type S was one hell of a way to send it off. You got that rear diffuser area plucked right off of the GTD Acura NSX race car. Carbon fiber just poured everywhere in that engine compartment. It's a shame that more people didn't appreciate the twin turbo V6 with those 2 electric motors driving the front wheels. Yes, it's a hybrid, but this shows that you could have your hybrid and you could have your performance at the same time. I guess the biggest zonk most people would say, including myself, would be that dated infotainment system. It's basically been around since that mid-2015, 16 period. The seats though, I dig them. The leather with the Alcantara microfiber suede material, and then the sound a little bit better than non-Type S NSXs, but I would have preferred to have seen just a little bit more. And then there we are on pit road. What an experience to share with you, rolling out on to the track. Remember, it's a 3.7 mile road course. It's one of those things that, yes, we had a factory Honda driver leading us. I would have preferred to have gone faster, but I understand that they got to keep it safe for everybody. But it still gave me a great opportunity to get up to speed, as you can see here, on the banking, having that ability to feel the extra horsepower, the extra torque, the larger turbochargers, and of course the aero. You're going down that back straightaway into the bus stop chicane. As you can see there, you want that extra aero. So definitely part of my top 10. Next up, Mopar no car. I mean, this is a car that when you sit in it, you just feel like a badass. There's no other way to say that. And what are we talking about? We're talking about the 2022 Dodge Challenger Super Stock. This is a car that I basically waited about a year to drive. 807 horsepower on pump gas. I love the way they took the wheels from the Dodge Demon, kind of painted them a little bit differently. You got those Nitto drag radials, and then you got that 6.2 liter supercharged Hemi V8. It's a thing of beauty just to open up the hood, get a chair and just stare at. Interior, yes, we all know it's dated. It's been around since 2008, but there's about the driving experience. You can't substitute that on-throttle experience with whatever cheap materials are in that interior. But yes, that would be the Zonk. Another Zonk, I would love to rip through it with a 6-speed manual, Tremec manual transmission, but that ZF 8-speed, it hooks up and it shifts very, very quickly. And then of course you got that drag strip technology. You got the air chiller, which takes the air conditioning and then cools the engine with it. You got that special Bilstein suspension. I mean, smoke them if you got them. You're gonna see it with that line lock right here. I mean, if this doesn't sound good to you, I don't know, you may not want to call yourself a car person, but absolutely just mind-numbing. Takes your frontal lobe and just turns it to mush. And I like this particular one being Go Mango, and then of course with that flat black hood, roof, and trunk lid really gives it the true essence of the late 60s and early 70s, but with technology and, as you can see, on-throttle experience that's just going to blow your mind away, and you got a warranty at the end of the day. So that really encompasses the whole thing. The next step in this top 10 has got to be the Honda Civic Type R. Front-wheel drive has never performed like this car ever before. And it was great on the FK8, the 10th generation Type R. That really opened up people's eyes. But I really firmly, truly believe that this 11th gen it makes sense as the next iteration. You still got the amazing braking. You got no torque steer. You got more horsepower, more torque. They went through the suspension. They went through the transmission. So you're getting all of those on-throttle goodies that makes this a car that deserves to be in a top 10 lineup, especially for on-throttle. The way they did the body, me personally, I want to rub my hands all over it. That's how great it looks. The rear wing, totally functional. It's just the big Zonk, the biggest Zonk is right there. There it is. It's like it read my mind. That triple exhaust that's very, very quiet. Yes, it's a little bit louder, but it still needs to be a little bit more louder than that. Of course, nobody could deny that 2-liter inline-4 turbocharged engine. It pulls like a freight train all the way through the rev range and has this momentum, especially when you're going from second to third and third to fourth and you're flat on throttle. It blows you away. The infotainment system had that great data log R. That's what the log R, get it? Type R, log R, get it? But anyways, that logger system, which records all of your inputs, the speed, all that great stuff. You got the triple pedals there, 6-speed manual. That to me deserves a top 10 just for being that. And I really like the way they reworked the dash, especially when you go into that Plus R mode. The TAC, the Formula One shift lights. Here's where I was telling you about the sound. Tell me what you think. That to me just sounds a little flat. And that's the big Zonk. But rolling out onto the track at Sears Point Raceway, if you have not driven a front-wheel drive car like this on a track, it's gonna just change your whole viewpoint. Absolutely phenomenal what this car is capable of. And exciting to see that they're still making it. And remember, they say this is going to be the final iteration of a pure internal combustion engine Type R. So it'll be interesting to see what comes next. But next up in the video, come on, the Z06. It's going to be there with that new LT6, well over 600 horsepower, well over 8,000 RPM redline. We're talking about 8,600. The only other car I could think of that has a higher redline that's naturally aspirated is the 911 GT3, the 992 911 GT3. But with this Z06, I'm so glad that for the experts out there, you could see that it's clearly wider than a standard C8, especially when a Stingray, when you have them parked next to one another. Stingray and Z06, we're talking about well over 3 inches in width. They made the venting different, totally different wing. The exhaust has been brought back from being separated 2 and 2, now back to 4 in the center. And like I said, that flat plane crankshaft from the LT6, it just blows your mind that this is a Corvette. Now, to me, being that diehard Corvette enthusiast, once upon a time I was an owner, it doesn't sound like a Corvette. It doesn't feel like a Corvette. But that doesn't necessarily make it a bad thing. And I think if you just separate that from the driving experience, it deserves to be in anybody's top 10. The seats, the way they do the interior, the way that they allow so much when it comes to personalization and different options. I mean, they really have elevated the whole feeling. And here it is. I mean, I'm just going to shut up. I mean, just reverberating off those trees. And then, of course, we had on throttle experience at Pittsburgh International Race Complex. And GM does it right. Once they saw that I knew what to do on a track, they just cut me loose. 30 minutes uninterrupted lapping, 30 minutes uninterrupted on throttle experience with that LT6 flat plane crankshaft. And then we jumped, of course, have to go into the fully loaded Z07. So whether you're getting a Z06 or a Z07, you're going to be just fine with that on throttle enjoyment. And that's why I had to put it in this year's top 10. And really just, I mean, right from a dead stop here. I mean, the sound, it's like, I don't even know why you would need a radio, XM. I don't know why you need any of that crap. Speaking of sound, and probably a car that sounds better than the Z06, especially on the interior, is going to be that GT4 RS. That is Porsche's iteration of the Cayman pumped full of steroids. Now, they taper back the steroids just a little bit. They don't want to give it the same roids that they give to the Porsche 911 and the GT3 and GT3 RS. So you're getting roids, you're just not getting the full roid advantage. But what you are getting is special bodywork, all carbon fiber. You can see how they redid the fenders, even the side door area. And then, of course, you have that pure 992 GT3 engine in there. That's the 4-liter that screams to 9,000 RPM. Yes, it only comes with a 7-speed PDK, and it would be interesting to drive it with a manual, but no denying that performance, that on-throttle performance on the track. And one of the many reasons why I say this sounds better than the Corvette, or even better than a 992 GT3 or GT3 RS, is because this is the only mid-engine. And you could go ahead, get your damn history book out, go on Wikipedia, do your Google search, ask Amazon Alexa. This is the only current available mid-engine car where the engine is in the car with you. And what I mean by that is, remember, with the Cayman, there is no window, no wall, no door, no portal, nothing that is separating where that engine, the top of the engine is, and your freaking head. And that's even more so on the GT4 RS than any other Cayman. So on the exterior, yeah, it sounds good, but it's in the interior where you hear that 9,000 RPM wail, and you're just like, God, Joe's right, I need a towel right about now. Because it's just gonna give you that ultra eargasm sensation. On the track, it was a thing of beauty. I mean, this thing was so freaking hooked up. It's like you feel invincible. More so than the Z06. So it's one of those things that until you drive your first Cayman, until you drive your first Porsche, you don't really understand what you're missing or what you haven't experienced yet. But once you get in the car, you're like, damn, this does really work. This is why Porsche wins so many races, including no other manufacturer has won the coveted 24 Hours of Le Mans more than Porsche. Next, you could call it a Supra, you could call it a Dupra, you could call it whatever you want. It's gonna be that Toyota Supra, that GR Supra. Remember, for model year 2023, driving this in 2022 at Miller Motorsports Park, it's all about that manual transmission. And that is definitely, without a doubt, I'll be honest with you, this car would not be in my top 10 if it wasn't for the manual transmission. This year, at least. Last year, yeah. But this year, having that manual transmission really changes the experience. And what I love about it is that Toyota specifically chose gear ratios that they wanted to utilize in the GR Supra. So the GR Supra driving experience with the manual is going to be totally different than if you had a BMW Z4 with a manual. And I get it, you're pissed off, you know, you fell in love with Vin Diesel and you wanted a bright orange tangerine Supra and everything else, and now they're just crazy out of price and you really wanted something pure from Toyota. I don't think the Supra would happen if it wasn't for this connection working with BMW. And at the end of the day, it does drive like a Supra. More so than a BMW, I think. And the on-throttle experience is definitely there. Now, of course, you still got the major zonk, and I talked about this when I was on track. Of course, you got your triple pedals there. Never looking better is the buffeting. You run with the windows down, you're going to get some major buffeting, and I'm surprised that nobody, BMW nor Toyota, has come up with a solution for that. But as you can see, that sound, that straight six, 3-liter turbocharged engine, I mean, smoke them if you got them, because you just drop that clutch and you're off. And that really helps with that on-throttle experience. There we are, of course, experiencing it full on throttle at Miller Motorsports Park. And that is one of the many reasons that the feedback, it's not just simply the manual transmission, it's the feedback of how the car is balanced that allows you to take advantage of being on throttle and really turn those quick times compared to maybe even a more powerful vehicle that you don't have as much control of. Even on the road, you know, they set up this little road driving experience. The car feels good with that manual transmission. Now, for those that need more usability, you're like, Joe, enough with the sports cars already. God, I got 4 kids. I got a bunch of junk I got to haul around. This is where this car comes into play and why it's in my top 10. It's the 2022 Audi RS6 Avant. It's a damn shame wagons are not more popular here in the United States, but this is a perfect example of what a brand can do with that Quattro all-wheel drive system. Massive wheels, massive brakes. Yes, it doesn't have a manual, all right? But it does have a very quick shifting 8-speed automatic. And of course, you got all that horsepower from not a twin turbo V6, not a twin turbo straight six. We're talking about a twin turbo V8. Guys, the days are numbered. Eventually, all these vehicles will be under some type of different power. We have to cherish these vehicles. And this is one of those ones that you pull up at a light and you get that one guy that's got like a big long mullet and he's chewing on some beef jerky and he's behind the wheel of a Hellcat. He just bought a Hellcat, narrow body, manual transmission. And he looks over at you and he's like, and you know it's on. The light turns green. What happens? You accelerate so hard, you knock that Slim Jim right in the back of his throat. He chokes and dies, and that's it. You're the winner. You're the winner in life right there. So that is what this car brings to the table, is that thrust. It's like an F-16 taking off from MacDill Air Force Base. It's like you being Maverick from Top Gun 2. and being launched off an aircraft carrier. I mean, doesn't have the best sound when you're sitting there revving it, but boy, oh boy, when you go on throttle, that's when you're just like, mind is blown. I'm driving a wagon here that will take on supercars. And this is a vehicle that not only can you use as a vehicle to go to the track, but to actually take out onto the track. The feedback, phenomenal, seats comfortable, and I really love how Audi does their interiors. Next up, talking about usability, talk about versatility, let's knock it down about 100 grand. What do we got? We got the GR Corolla. So same story. I hope you know how to drive a manual transmission. If you don't, please learn. If there's a zombie apocalypse and the GR Corolla is the only car available, you're gonna die if you don't know how to drive a manual transmission. So with this car, not only do you get to live, but you have that all-wheel drive. You have, remember, a 3-cylinder engine, a 1.6 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder engine pumping out 300 horsepower. Do the math. Yes, I know you got a C- in math. It's 100 horsepower per cylinder. And if you're thinking that Toyota hasn't done their homework, that they're going to let these engines blow, you're out of your mind, because that engine was in the GR Yaris. There's that beautiful 6-speed manual transmission. Remember, the all-wheel drive, that GT4 all-wheel drive sends power to the back, to the front. Boop, 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 boop. That hooks you up like you're stuck to the road, like you're on Gorilla Glue. There's the pedals. The only thing that really was a zonk for me was that dead pedal in the pedal box. It would have been nice to have aluminum pedal, but you got a unique steering wheel, the unique dash, nice short throws, all the goodies that you come to expect from a hot hatch. It's like, for those who have been crying that Subaru has left them behind, that there's no WRX hatchback or an STI hatchback, here it is. It's not a Subaru, but it's got the goodies that you want. And don't feel ashamed to drive a 3-cylinder car. This proves you could have a 3-cylinder car and still put in the times, put in the numbers. And if you're lucky enough to track down a Marizo edition, forget about it. You got those beautiful Michelin Cup 2 tires. You have no rear seat, no rear window actuators, no rear speakers. Nobody does that anymore. But Toyota is doing it with this wonderful GR Corolla. And on the track, it was just so balanced. I guess the only other zonk I could go back to would be like the Type R, where it's just a little too quiet, especially with this aggressive thing of an exhaust. And then here we are. This is it, number 10. And this is definitely not last. This is actually my favorite. So this last car we saved for you is actually my favorite car of 2022. It's gotta be the 911 GT3, redesigned on the 992 chassis. You got carbon fiber pieces all over the place. You got those amazing rotors, calipers, wheels. They redid the suspension. It's the first time you got a double wishbone suspension up front on a GT3 that's plucked right from the 911 RSR race car. You got a rear wing that looks like it came right off a Le Mans race car with that swan neck design. And then underneath that rear bumper area, just like Dr. Ferdinand Porsche did the first 911 all the way back in 1963, you got the engine out back, naturally aspirated, flat 6, 502 horsepower. And the best news, yes, you could get your PDK if you're trying to be the fastest person in the world on the track. But for those who just want to have that pure on-throttle driving experience like yours truly, that 6-speed was sent from heaven. It was like an angel came down and just bestowed that manual transmission to me. And it was so wonderful to be in Helen, Georgia, to rip through the mountains, through all the trees, and hear the reverberation of that beautiful 4-liter flat 6. I love the way they did the dash. They kept that unique design only in a 911 with an analog tach. Same kind of thing. It's got a soft rev limiter, but as you can see, once we go into first gear, this thing sounds glorious on throttle. Here we go, rolling out, and I'm not even going that crazy because of other vehicles and stuff, but you can just hear it. It just happened like yesterday. Oh, stow my beating heart. And then there we are inside. You were there in the passenger seat with me. We have the carbon fiber buckets, no rear seat, thinner side glass. I mean, you feel everything in a very good way, and you just let that engine just pull through the rev range. It's so linear, it's so pure, and technically, this car should not work. Having the engine past the rear axle should not work, but here it is working in this car. But you know what? We gotta wrap it up. Let's talk about this top 10 and wrap it up for 2022. Wow, wow, wow. As you can see, 2022 was one heck of a year. Lots of great cars in that top 10. And like I said, the 911 GT3 is my #1 car choice for 2022 when it comes to the on-throttle driving experience. Now, you might be saying, well, Joe, what about like the new upcoming Mustang GT that you did a walk around, or the Charger EV? We specifically focused on cars that we drove, and it was all about the on-throttle experience. So in that comment section, let me know out of the top 10 which is your favorite, or even better, let me know what car should have been on the list that you think is one of those pure on-throttle best of 2022 cars. Let me know in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit the subscribe button. I promise you, this is just a taste of what we do. You got to see the reviews in their entire length. So hit that subscribe button. If you are a subscriber, you know how we do it here. Thank you so much for your support in making 2022 an awesome year. Looking forward to 2023. Of course, we got to thank LG Raiti Lori, not only working the camera like a champ, but she put all of the work into selecting these on-throttle clips and then making a nice edited review of all of them from one end to the other. So definitely show Lori some love. Thank you, Lori, for all that you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.